Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Favi, and welcome to Arrows DIY. On my channel, I love creating Dollar Tree DIYs, high-end dupes, thrift flips, and the occasional trash to treasure. This is part of the Hello Spring Challenge, and I have so many wonderful spring DIYs on a budget, and I hope you enjoy. I'm obsessed with how these turned out, and let me know what you think in the comments below. If you love unique home decor on a budget, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss a video. All right, let's get started. So at Family Dollar, I picked up two of these little ceramic bunnies. They are adorable for $1.25. So what I did was I started with this black licorice acrylic paint, and I just painted the eyes as well as their little ears. And I wanted to give this kind of like an enamel look because we're gonna put this little piece inside of another piece, and I didn't want it to be too busy. So as you can see, I'm using a small brush and I'm just going to paint carefully inside the eyeballs. Now I took a craft stick and I painted the edge of the craft stick, and I just carefully placed it at an angle and just kind of wiped the paint off of the craft stick to give it a enameled look. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I just love the technique. It was super simple to do, and I didn't have to worry about paint getting in the wrong places. So now I use this antique copper color, which is one of my favorite metal colors. I love adding metal finishes to my projects. So I'm going to do the same thing here with the flowers around the neck of the rabbit. So first I'm going to go in and paint the center portions of the flowers with my thin paintbrush, and then I'm going to do the craft stick trick once again to carefully just paint the raised portions on the flowers. And that's all I'm going to do on these bunnies because they're going to be inside of another decor piece and you're not going to see their tails. But you know, do whatever you like in whatever colors for your projects to customize them to your home decor. So that's how he turned out. Oh right, his nose. Cannot forget his nose. So I took some of this salmon paint and I'm just going to paint his little nose using the craft stick trick as well as my thin paintbrush once again. And I was so happy with how he turned out. Next, we're going to take one of these containers from the Dollar Tree. It's the large egg container. And we're going to place two of the bunnies inside of this container and place the lid on top of the bunnies. Now we're going to take a Sharpie and just draw out a cracked egg, and just make sure that it's large enough for both of the bunnies to be able to be inserted once this is all crazy glued shut. I take my heat tool. This is the wood burning tool from Walmart. It was about $15 by Plaid. And I'm going to go ahead and just follow that line with my heat tool slowly, taking time, making sure that my hands are not under this piece because we don't want any hot glue or hot plastic dripping down onto you. So just be careful, be safe, take your time, and make sure you're in a well ventilated room because it does get kind of smelly, but it is a lot of fun. So now we're going to go ahead and use this one decor paint. It's a paint and sealer in one. You can use any color you like. I was just out of white paint at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just paint this in one solid color. Once that was fully painted, don't worry about the drips. We're going to handle that in a minute. We're going to go in with some Mod Podge. Now the paint is fully dry and we're only going to add Mod Podge to the outer rim of this container. So like I said, you don't have to do it this way. You don't even have to decoupage because I'm obsessed with this napkin this spring. It's by MacKenzie-Childs. So I'm just going to continue using this napkin in some of my projects. But you could totally leave your egg solid color and it would look just as cute. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to do this. Now I place the napkin right on top and I'm just kind of pleating it on the edges so that it follows the egg shape, making sure that the middle of the egg is nice and flat. I'm not going to take too much time on this process because this is not a decoupage video. This is just inspiration for fun spring decor using florals. So now, as you can see, I just cut off the excess paper, and I'm just going to kind of overlap the napkins so that the pattern is somewhat continuous. Now, I don't stress myself. I'm having fun. This is crafty therapy for me. So I am just doing the best I can and enjoying the process. I do want it to look somewhat neat, but I'm not stressing myself. I'm not going for perfection. I'm just trying to show you quickly what I did. Next, I cut a slit on the center of the napkin at the top of the egg, and then I cut more slits coming out from that original slit to the edges of the cracks so that I'm able to fold this napkin over neatly on each of the peaks of the cracked egg. So now, once those slits are cut, I add Mod Podge to the inner portion of the crack of one of those peaks in the cracked egg. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut another slit at the top of the peak. I'm going to fold over the napkin on both sides to just get a nice, clean finish. I cut off the excess once it was nice and folded, held down by Mod Podge. So I added Mod Podge over every fold to make sure it was good and secure. Now, wherever the napkin went kind of wonky, I did cut some excess napkin, and I just decoupaged it on top of the pattern, trying to make it look more like the checkerboard pattern. Next, I cut off the excess napkin around the bottom so that it would lay flat. I apologize for my children. There's 5 loud little ones. It's not perfect, but I'm okay with that. So if you don't want this, you can use another napkin, or you could just forget it and just paint the cracked egg. I'm just showing you here that I'm using different pieces, little scraps that I cut off to fix some of those checkerboard lines. Once we were done with that whole process and the Mod Podge was nice and dry, I wanted to cover the inside of the egg just to help it look more finished, and just in case you could see it from the whole floral arrangement we're about to make. I plucked off some of these leaves and cut them in half, and I'm just going to cover the inside of this egg. I also used some of this hydrangea. This is from Family Dollar for $3, and I thought it was a good amount, and these colors are just so beautiful. I'm going to go in and add the leaves with hot glue to the inside, following the shape of the peaks, making sure it's all covered on the inside. Then I took a little 1-inch cube of floral foam, and this is going to help us adhere our little bunnies in place. So I added hot glue to the bottom of one of the first bunnies, and I placed him at the bottom of the base, and then I hot glued the other bunny on top of the floral foam to raise him a little bit so he looks like he's kissing the other little bunny's forehead. Super cute. Then I just went in and I added little tiny bits of the hydrangea bush surrounding these little bunnies. Now I'm just adding in random little sprigs I had on hand from another Dollar Tree pick, and I think it was the one we used for the next DIY, and I'm just gonna go and make it look more like a wildflower display. And that's it for this one. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this one, and thank you so much for sticking through the decoupage process. This is super fun for spring or Easter decor. Now this is the Hello Spring Challenge hosted by Tammie of the Russet Willow and Ellie of DIY From House to Home. And this month's co-host is Shannon from Shannon's Crafty DIYs. So check out their channels in my description box, as well as the playlist link for more spring DIY inspiration. For this next project, I'm going to be using this foam egg. It has a hanger on it, so I'm assuming it's an ornament. And I'm going to be using some of these florals from the Dollar Tree as well. This floral here is called Larkspur, and I'm just going to use them in these different colors. I bought these last year, and I'm just so happy I get to use them. And this DIY is very simple. We're just going to cut off the flowers off of the stems, and we're going to hot glue them to this foam egg. You could paint your egg if you'd like to. I didn't, because I didn't mind if a little bit of that pink showed through, because I want to create kind of like an ombre effect on this egg. So I start off with the white flowers, and as you can see, I'm just hot gluing them around, keeping that middle portion so that it looks very defined. Each flower has its own defined area. And I also turn the flower slightly to stagger it so that the petals on one leaf cover the gaps in the other hot glued flower. And I just do that until I use all of the flowers that I have on this pick. Now I'm going in and I'm cutting the next flower. It's the medium pink one, and this one has a little stopper behind the middle portion of the flower. So I do cut it at that portion just so that the middle portion of the flower does not fall off as I'm hot gluing them. I also like the variation of color that the middle portion of the flower adds to the piece. If you don't like the middle of this flower, you can also add some stones, like some rhinestones or some beads or whatever you like on your project. So I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue this all around, turning the egg, making sure it's somewhat even. And I do try to overlap them slightly so that you don't see so much of that foam egg. And once I'm done with the flowers on that one pick, I go in and I pluck off some of these flowers from this pick from Dollar Tree. So this is the one that I plucked off the wildflower greenery for the previous project. And I got this at Dollar Tree as well. Now I do hot glue some of the petals down to the foam egg so that we don't lose so much of the shape of the egg. And since we kept the middle portion of this flower as well, I did try to push that middle portion into the foam egg, and I continue this around. When the foam egg was almost fully covered, I did hold the hanger with my finger to ensure I didn't hot glue it to the egg itself. But there you go. I created a ombre ornament where we can hang this, or we could just keep it as a decor piece alongside any of your Easter decor. Remember, you can do this in any color for your project, but I made this one for my little girl and she's gonna love it. She is a pink fanatic. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments below. Now for this next project, I got this ceramic egg at Family Dollar for $5, and I'm gonna start off with this terracotta paint in the color Pueblo. I went in with a small paintbrush and painted all of the engraved portions on this egg, and then once that was nice and dry, I went with some of this acrylic paint in the color Wicker White. I'm going to use my large chippy brush. I am so sorry about that. I use this color Wicker White and this large chippy paintbrush, and I'm going to take off the excess paint on that brush. Now we're going to tilt our egg slightly on its side and dry brush this egg, basically just covering the lavender color. And we are also going to keep our paintbrush at a 45-degree angle as well. And I just continue adding layers of paint. I was okay if a little bit went into those little grooves because I'm into the whole chippy rustic look, but I thought it was kind of funny how these little designs look like carrots. It was an afterthought, but I kind of like that too for Easter. All right, I'm going to take some of these rose clips from the Dollar Tree. I got them during the Valentine's Day season, and I'm going to take them off of their clips and also paint them fully in white. Now I did leave some of the paint, I did leave some of the pink showing through, and I only gave these one coat. If you give them 2 coats, it would be more of a solid paint job. I started off with a big chippy brush first to get most of the surface area painted, but then I used the smaller paintbrush to get into all of the little crevices and spots in between. Once the paint was dry on both the egg and the roses, I went in and cut off the back portion of that rose and hot glued it right to the top, on top of that dot at the top of the egg. Now I want this to look very ornate, so I'm going to go ahead and hot glue the other 3 roses in these positions, kind of staggering them, making them look like they're cascading down this egg. I think this is just so pretty for a floral design for Easter. Actually, all spring, really. And I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue them like so. I use Gorilla Hot Glue and it gives me a nice sturdy hold. I love using that as my hot glue of choice. Now I'm going to go in with some of these little pieces. These are Queen Anne's lace. That's the name of the flower from Dollar Tree, one of my favorites from Dollar Tree. And I have them in the color yellow, white, as well as purple. Since I had mostly yellow in stock, I'm just going to go ahead and add the yellow around, surrounding the roses. So once I used most of the yellow, then I go in and add little pieces of the white and the purple. And I want them to be visible, so I kind of put them towards the center and just peeking out behind the roses. And I really love this DIY. I think it's so cute. Remember, you can pick any colors, any florals you like. This is just the one that happened to tickle my fancy. But let me know what you think about this one, if you would give it a try. And this is on a budget, so definitely my kind of project. Don't forget to subscribe if you like unique home decor, because I would love to have you as part of our Arrows DIY family here on YouTube. Alright, so as you can see here, I just continue adding the florals all the way around. And be careful, you should be wearing finger protectors for all these projects, but since I'm on a nail kick right now, I cannot feel the hot glue on my fingertips. But at this point, I have so many layers of hot glue on my fingers, I basically made my own finger protectors with hot glue. But this is how it turned out. Let me know what you think about this one. I think it's so pretty. It might be one of my favorites. Actually, I don't even know. I like them all. But this one is so pretty. It reminds me of a garden. Let me know which one is your favorite, because I love hearing from you. Now this next project is using some of these florals. I got these from a Michael's grab box. It's like a $5 grab box. I got it, I think, last year after the fall season. So I was so lucky to grab these for $5. I got about 12 bouquets. It was crazy. And they're beautiful silk flowers. Now, if you'd like, you can use any orange, anything. You can use fabric or whatever. But since we're going for spring florals, I'm going to use these orange roses. I'm not a big fan of orange, but you know, I think it was a perfect opportunity to use these for my stash. So as you can see, I plucked off the orange roses. I plucked off the petals off this rose, cut the bottom of the rose like at the base to make it kind of flatter. And now I'm just hot gluing them in position. The first three I made more into a cone shape, making sure to cover most of that cone. And then the other ones, I'm just hot gluing at the base of the petal, making sure that we make kind of like a fish scale design. So we're gonna hot glue the new one between the two other ones. And I kind of overlap them to cover any of the hot glue mess from the previous petal that we attached on. This is very simple, but I think this one might be one of my favorites. Actually, probably my favorite, just because it's so unique and I think it's so beautiful. And I'm so glad I got to use these orange roses, because how else am I going to use an orange rose? I'm on a mission to craft through my stash, y'all, so I'm so happy that I got to use this one. Once we get to the top of this cone, we're going to go ahead and kind of flatten out the rose petals around that top rim. And just as before, continue adding petals all the way around, overlapping in between the previous petals. I add a lot of hot glue to make sure that most of the petal is hot glued down, so we don't lose that shape of the carrot. And we do leave a little tiny portion at the center of the cone. So we're going to take some of these greeneries from our previous projects, as well as from my stash. Anything that looked carrot, leafy, anything goes for this project. I did take a rose petal and roll it up carefully with hot glue. Don't burn yourself, please. And I stuck it into the top portion of my carrot, just to cover a little bit of that floral foam that was still showing. This is a perfect opportunity to use any leftover greeneries. We just want it to look bushy and like a healthy carrot plant. All right, and now here I am just cutting off the greenery stems. I use a variety from Dollar Tree, as well as some of the greeneries that was left over from previous projects, like I said before. Sorry for repeating myself. And I am just stabbing them right into the floral foam. I did not use hot glue because I cut the base very long, so it's pretty secure in there. And then once I was done with that, I used some more leftover petals just to cover any of the floral foam that might be showing after the greeneries were placed. Now I'm just using a little bit more of greeneries from my stash. These flowers were given to me from my mother last year. And yeah, so that's what I did here. I just pushed them all in. You could definitely secure this with hot glue if you'd like. You know, just have fun on your projects. But this one turned out so fun, using florals for spring. And there she is in all her glory. So sweet. I hope that you enjoyed all of these spring floral DIYs, and let me know in the comments below what you thought about these. Which one is your favorite? Sometimes I do neutral DIYs, sometimes I do colorful DIYs. In my home, there's a mix of both. So subscribe if you'd like to see more home decor on a budget. Special thank you to Tammie of the Rusted Willow, Ellie from DIY From House to Home, and Shannon from Shannon's Crafty DIYs for hosting such a fun collaboration. Don't forget to check out their channels in my description box below, as well as the playlist link for more spring inspiration. I know it's going to be full of amazing projects, so be sure to check out that playlist. I'll leave it in my description box as well as the comment box below, so you can follow along and see what everyone's all made. And I want to thank you so much for spending part of your day with me getting creative, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. You're so sweet to always put up with my shenanigans over here, and thank you so much for watching, friends. Take care, God bless, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye! If you like this video, here's another one you might enjoy.